Look who wants to hang out now.
Aaron.
What? Do we just ignore her? Do we ignore this face?
Okay. And on other news, I do have something that I have to tell you.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you now because you're not paying attention to me.
Okay.
Here, come here. Donna.
Or just keep going. I'll sheep her.
Okay. So I do this thing. I think this is really actually important to share on here. So I'm going to preface the story by saying this. I write lists for the type of people that I want to manifest in my life. And the story goes like this. Okay, you know the story. Long ago, I had broken up with my sophomore year boyfriend of high school. And who I am still in contact with. Shout out if you're listening. You a homie. And anyway, I wanted a new boyfriend after this. And I manifested the qualities that I wanted in my perfect dream high school boyfriend, right? And then I met my ex and we started dating, and he really fit all of these qualities. He was the perfect guy for that time that I needed him.
What were the qualities you wrote down that you wanted?
I wrote down passionate, romantic. He was very passionate, romantic. I'm pretty sure I said an artist. He was a musician. I wanted someone that was emotionally in touch with themselves, because I felt like a lot of men, I'm talking literally boys that I've had not
high school boys.
Honestly, I've not had very many romantic experiences in my life, so please be gentle. But anyway, I just wanted someone more in touch with their emotions, and he was very in touch with those
someone
emotions.
Who's more mature.
More mature, someone who
for that age, which was 14.
Yeah, and I wanted someone romantic. I wanted someone who put in the effort. I wanted someone who wanted to see me all the time. I wanted someone who was a little older, he was older than me. Not by much, a year. Anyway, he fit all the criteria. And then we broke up, and as you guys know from this podcast, it was a terrible breakup, and I was a mess on the floor crying, heart ripped out. And I decided I'm going to write a new list and put it away. And I'm just going to amend the list because I need to look for different qualities in a partner. And at this point in my life, I genuinely did not want a boyfriend. I didn't want to date anyone. But I wrote down these qualities that I realized I needed from someone, and my requirements had completely changed because I had changed as a person, and what I needed in life had changed.
Half Asian.
I did say cultured, yes. I did say cultured. Very in touch with his culture was a big one. I was, done with that phase of my life. So I found Aaron, and he was my dream boat that I had manifested. Fast forward, I tell my friends to do this when they are when they really want to find someone in their life, when they really want someone romantic to come into their life.
It's like a genie in a bottle. Or it's like a bottle. Wait. It's you have a paper, and then you put it in a bottle, and then you put it in the ocean. Continue.
So I know that we're trying not to fight on this podcast, but then sometimes you say things like that. So just want you to think.
Does that make sense though?
I guess, yeah.
Okay.
What is the hope when you put something in a bottle and you send it away?
That somebody finds it and reads it. Have you heard of the book A Tale for a Time Being by Ruth Ozeki? It's kind of the back and forth. It's between timelines, but essentially this woman finds, on shore, these notes from this girl, a tale from a time. And she's having her own situation with her husband, and then she's reading these stories from this Japanese girl who's also having her own time.
They're both having troubles with their significant others?
Not really. They're just both having trouble in life. They're both in
and they help each other through it.
Well, one helps the other You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't really help each other out.
Just one helps the
other.
other.
The little Japanese girl helps the
white woman.
The white woman.
Okay.
Ruth Ozeki, though, who's the author, is not. She's Wei-Zhang.
She sounds Wei-Zhang.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Anyway, is Ruth a Jewish name?
What?
Is Ruth a Jewish name? Yeah, it is, huh?
Is Ruth? I don't think
it's a biblical name, isn't it?
I don't think it's Jewish.
Huh.
I'm trying to get the podcast blacklisted right now.
Anyway, what?
Hey, Siri? Not around. It's fine. I'll look this up later. I'll put it right here.
The point of this is that I tell my friends that when they're feeling lost, when they're feeling like desperate for some sort of romantic attention in their life, they need to seriously consider what they actually want in a partner. Because I think the desire for one could sometimes be a little distorted, and then you just end up accepting trash. So I had my friend write this list, right? And, she actually is dating a guy right now that she says sort of fits the category of
her list.
And so I was at a girls' wine night with her and her best friend from home. And this is where the story for Aaron comes in. So I was with her best friend from home and we were talking, catching up. And she was like, I hear about this manifesting thing that you're doing that you kind of showed to our friend, and she put it above her bed and everything, and like it really helped her out. Like
she did.
I really believe that.
Oh wow.
And she's like, I actually think that I manifested someone in my life. And I was like, who? And she was like, well, do you know the comedian Bobby Lee?
What?
And I was like, yeah, I do. And then she was like, well, I'm like a huge fan of Bobby Lee. Like, I am always listening to his podcasts. I am like always on the like Tiger Belly Instagram page, like all this stuff. Like, I'm a huge fan. And I was like, I love Bobby Lee. Like, Aaron and I are huge fans. He actually kind of inspired our style of podcast that we do together. And she was like, yeah, well, I was at a comedy show and I had been like thinking of Bobby Lee so much. And then all of a sudden, Bobby Lee comes up to me and he's like, hey, why aren't you laughing?
That sounds like exactly what I'd imagine he'd do.
And so, they have some banter here and there. Bobby Lee follows her on Instagram and DMs her on her stories being like, you're so beautiful.
Oh my God.
So she feels that she manifested Bobby Lee sliding into her DMs.
DMs, holy shit. Yeah, I mean,
which is, not gonna lie, a little ick. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean,
but
Bobby Lee's like whole like premise in like the 80s and 90s would like he like whip out his cock on stage, He's like a gross guy.
But anyway, she was like, I hope that him and Kalila get back together. And I do too.
I really admire their ability. I mean, they're like still like business partners. They still do the podcast together.
That feels a little odd to me.
I think they're like lifelong partners, but I can imagine that maybe in a like a romantic relationship, perhaps.
Because I do think about couples who like do business together.
Yeah.
And then they aren't together romantically anymore, but then they still do business together. I guess if you've lived together for that long.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think they're also a very nuanced couple. All to say, that's very funny.
All to say,
was it at the Comedy Store?
I don't know which.
Probably.
But I just thought that you would want to hear that because
that's right.
You like Bobby Lee.
Yeah.
And I've been waiting to tell you that for like a week.
Wow, that's nuts.
Yeah.
That's very funny.
But he like will like slide up on her
stories and stuff?
Stories and be like, you're so pretty.
Oh, that's so funny. Yep. That makes sense.
Like, I'm sorry, but if I knew that, like, I guess if you're famous, you just kind of slide into young girls' DMs. She's not a young girl. She's of age. She's past age. I'm not accusing Bobby Lee of anything. But to be fair, okay, I'm just going to say, when you're like in your late 40s going for mid-20s girls.
He's 50s.
Okay, that's sus, Bobby.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of like worked into his brand that he's like not
creep.
Sus, but like he's like, whoa, you know?
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of
Which,
like that's my brand.
I do get that because I see it a lot here.
Yeah. Also,
maybe it's just a thing of LA. Like I know that people don't freak out when they see celebrities here, and I don't anymore when I see celebrities. No one reacted when she said that Bobby Lee slid into her DMs.
Really?
No one reacted, and I was screaming.
Did they not know him? Really?
They did though.
Oh. Weird.
It's just kind of wild.
That's crazy. That is nuts, dude.
I don't know. Yeah, once you hit like, my coworker told me that once you hit 27, you realize that basically any man of any age can hit on you.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I think most men.
I think once you hit 23.
Yeah, I think
honestly,
once
you hit 23.
And then some men once you
and some
hit 18.
men once you hit 19. If you're 18, I think you're still a pedo. You're still a pedo.
I think if there's a substantial enough age difference, it's always kind of weird.
I don't know, but I don't know why that made me a little sad for Kalila. She deserves better than that.
Oh, they're not together anymore. If they were together, that would be.
Yeah, but like, they're still business partners.
Mm-hmm. I don't think she'd be surprised by that.
Probably not.
But
would you do that?
Would I
slide
do
into
that?
Someone's DMs? Ever. Of age. She is of age.
We're assuming that it's always of age.
It's always of age.
Well, like, okay. If it was in the context of, you met someone and you had a banter, how long do they talk for? Depends. And the thing is, it's like, if it was at the Comedy Store, that's like his place, you know?
You're right. It's
that's
his
like
territory.
That's his zone.
You're right.
He like grew up there, basically.
That's true.
He's been there for like 30 years or however long. 25 years.
He is old enough to be her father.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, would you slide into anyone's DMs? If you like saw a girl and you were like, I have a little crush on you.
Right. I don't know. I don't think that that's my style right now. I mean, I can imagine. The thing is, if like you're a celebrity and then it's like, although maybe here it's not as an attractive thing because everyone is something to a particular degree. Mm-hmm. But perhaps if you're a celebrity, it's just like.
But I also think it's more acceptable to do here than it would be in another city, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Because the like star factor is less, so it's less of a power play. Like, that's true. I think that if you're like touring and you meet a fan it wasn't his show. It wasn't his own show. Mm-hmm. I think that would have been a little weirder. Yeah.
I mean, they all have like, the way it works here is people do like spots for like 20 minutes, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It was like just like, I think the only thing that makes me feel weird about it is the age thing, honestly. But like,
yeah, I mean,
I think if you're like touring and you're doing a show and you meet a fan and then you like DM them, I think that's weird and that's a power play.
Right.
But if you are, you know, in LA and you're a celebrity and you meet someone in like everyone's kind of knows someone here.
I mean, regardless, it's like you're asserting. You're using your social position to leverage some sort of.
But if you think about it, I think that your social position can make you more attractive.
That's what I mean.
And I think that most people do.
Out of that context, Bobby Lee would be. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't think so. I don't know if
she'd be into Bobby Lee as much.
I think it's more often than not, and I think he would admit that it's maybe like he's a very talented, he's very funny.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And people know that, and that's him, and everyone knows him there. It's a social position that you leverage, and you can argue whether or not that's right or wrong. I have my opinion.
What's your opinion?
I think that I mean, just because I like his comedy, right? I'm able to separate.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think it's wrong, aside from the fact that he's old enough to be her father. That's
you don't think that's wrong?
No, that he DM. If he was her,
no,
if he was similar
I don't
to her
think
age,
that's wrong. I don't think that's wrong either. That he DM'd her.
No, I think if they were, I think the only thing that's weird about it is his age.
Right.
If we took away that aspect, I don't think it would be wrong.
I agree.
I think that would just be like.
I actually think that that's fine because they had a conversation, good night, and then.
I think that's a very normal thing.
Yeah, I actually think that's totally normal.
I think it'd actually be charming if it wasn't for how old he was. It's creepy because of his age. Sorry, right. Bobby, I gotta say it. I'm a huge fan. I really think you're hilarious and very vulnerable and like very unhinged. You make Aaron unhinged. And I'd love to meet you one day, but you also kind of scare me a little bit. So, Kalila, I'm a huge fan. Mm-hmm. You're gorgeous, girl. You're gorgeous.
But yeah, I think that the whole premise of how people kind of leverage social behavior in the city is very strange. Because you'll see on our street celebrities all the time.
Yeah.
And it's a very weird thing because it's like obviously they are recognized.
Well, it is so weird, you guys. So I have been having a little bit of a rough week because I basically got to like this final round, and I'll talk about it later, but I got to the like very close on a film, and it was like a very low budget film. Like I don't think there were any stars attached to it or anything. Nothing. It was like it was a reasonable goal for me to have to get this role, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Having nothing on my resume. And I really thought that I was going to get it and that my life was going to start to pick up in some way, and that there was going to be a set path, especially since I'm going to be turning 24 soon, and I want my life to start to pick up around 24 so that I can be a star by 25. Anyway.
Star is born.
A star is born. I have this like timeline for myself, and I was like, okay, this is the one. Like this is gonna be the little project that kind of gets me seen, and I'm gonna, start my career finally. And I felt very confident in the room and very sure of myself, and I felt like they liked me, and I never feel like anyone likes me or confident in a room, so that's really rare. And we got the best Lebanese food afterwards, so it was just like a good day. And I really thought like this is gonna be my day.
We can sound out Scaffs in Glendale.
Scaffs in Glendale, you gotta go. You gotta go, and you gotta get the baba ganoush and the hummus. The baba ganoush and the hummus are the best baba ganoush and best dips I've ever had.
Yeah, add on the hummus. The chicken shawarma is the best I've ever had.
Yeah,
so good.
And their salads are incredible too.
Fuck, dude, I'd go back.
Their falafel divine.
Anyway,
we went twice this week. Even after I had this experience. But the point is that I was feeling pretty confident in my abilities too. And I was like, you know what? I think I could really make something of this role. And I really liked the director, blah, blah, blah. So I knew that if I got it before November, if I got it before November, if I heard back before November 1st, then I would have gotten it in my head. If I heard back after October 31st, it was a no-go for me. I knew that because there is a time, the month before your birthday, in my family that my abuelito calls Periodo Malo. And it is your bad period, the month before your birthday, where you cannot... It's just kind of a month of bad luck. Nothing good really... You're not supposed to make any big decisions during this time or do any big life things because it could lead to some bad luck. And it's especially the 2 weeks leading up to your birthday is a really difficult time. And in a way, I think I'm grateful for this because it prepares you for the next year. It's like a sort of like an evolutionary thing, right? Because it's like you have to go into the next year.
Right.
Because your 2 weeks before are so bad because you're Periodo Malo.
Right.
So I knew, since my birthday is coming up next month, December 2nd, just in case you guys want to know, I knew I probably wasn't going to get it. And I heard back on, I think, November 2nd, and it was a no. And I was like, not even sad. I was just like, and I still feel this way. Like, what am I supposed to do with my life? Because it didn't go as planned. I really thought that this was going to jumpstart something. And I didn't get any auditions this week. I feel like I haven't gotten a ton of auditions recently because of the strike. And I kind of feel myself just like flailing right now. So that was the background story to where was I going with this?
I don't know.
Oh no. Oh no. There was going to be a positive twist because Aaron says I need to be more positive on this podcast.
No, well, you were you were talking about you had like a burst of energy and then you begun.
Yeah, because I had a really good thing that I was going to say
could
here.
Could be with what you conquered today with your life. I don't know, man.
I don't know. Maybe we should just keep going.
Man. Or had something related to maybe like a breakthrough in.
No, you're just trying to get me to have a breakthrough right now.
You felt lost. You know what to do, and then. No?
I did feel lost. I didn't know what to do. There was a then moment, but I forgot the then, and I'm so sorry about that, you guys.
And you didn't know what to do next?
No.
You don't know what else to...
I'm sorry. You gotta move on.
We gotta move on. Well, perhaps what I will say is, like what I really like about, like In the Heights, this is a sub-pivot, but it's about the same thing.
Right.
He's dreaming of this island. He's gonna work hard, and he's gonna move back
Puerto Rico
to the Dominican Republic.
Sorry, Lynn is Puerto Rican.
He is Puerto Rican,
but so it's based on Dominican.
And he's dreaming of going back to DR, and he's working hard to win the lottery, and I really like this. Like the middle of the musical is kind of weird, or it's not weird. It's all great. I don't know how I feel about the idea of like, oh, you win a lottery and then it kind of solves their problems in a way. I don't know, whatever. But I really like the finale because of...
He chooses to stay.
Well, he chooses to stay, but it's like it's the observation, like when they talk about, he's about to leave and he's talking about like the breeze off the Hudson, and just when you think you're sick and live in here, the memory floods in. And
whoa, Lynn.
Come on. And then he says there's and then it kind of continues, and he chooses to stay. He sees this mural of his grandmother or his aunt, who's the woman.
It was like
it's not his real
the grandmother figure.
Yeah, it's kind of like abuela. Right. So he sees this mural that was made of her from the punk who spray paints his shop in the beginning, so there's kind of like a full circle there, and he sort of sees that the neighborhood he lives in is beautiful, and it's fading and it's disappearing, and he's kind of a figure of what remains and what it could still be. And he has this line where he says, if you close your eyes, that hydrant is a breeze, that siren is the wind, like he's saying,
like he's imagining it to be.
He says, if you close your eyes, the island I've been looking this whole time, I'm home, like I'm here. Mm-hmm. This is the island I've wanted my whole life. You've now raised an eyebrow after I said that.
Because you were trying to say that this is the island that I've wanted my whole life?
No. I'm not saying I'm not saying this specific place is the island you've wanted your whole life. Like how I don't think he felt that this shop was the island he wanted this whole time, but perhaps the people in his life, right?
Yeah.
Right. Pointing to the cat now. The life that he's built for himself thus far.
I do remember what I was going to say.
What were you going to say?
Just going to interrupt you?
I found my island I've been wanting this whole time. I'm home.
Thank you, Lynn. Now, what I was going to say, that story reminded me of something, but I'm going to go back to that. So, Anyway, I wake up. I had a really rough existential crisis this week, and I'm still kind of going through it. And I woke up in bed, and Aaron was sleeping next to me because Aaron had been editing Frank and Sofia all week. Hope you guys watched it. Watch Frank and Sofia if you haven't. It's so good. And it really shows our dynamic. If you want a sneak peek into our relationship, watch Frank and Sofia. So Frank and Sofia had just premiered, and I was like, what's next? Immediately, right? And I'm like, I didn't get this thing, Frank and Sofia is done. Like, I'm not getting auditions.
Post-show blues.
Yeah, I was having total post-show blues. And so I go into Actors Access, and I am like applying for as many things I can. Like, sure, I'll send myself in for this. And I see.
Did you submit yourself as the 7-year-old piano stunt
double?
But
I thought about it. That's what I was gonna say.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, can I say his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not watching this.
Yeah.
So in our neighborhood.
You talk about him like he's your friend or something.
Because I see him every day. Every day in our neighborhood, I see Max Minghella.
Don't even know his name.
Magellan.
No, that's still wrong.
What is his name?
And you're disappointed. Anyway, I'll return to that thought.
What is his last name?
I'm not saying because I like the way you're saying it.
Max. I see Max and his dog walking down the street while I'm in my Pilates studio with the glass windows. He goes to the coffee shop right next to the Pilates studio. Every day, okay? I'm always seeing him walk by in his little sweats and white t-shirt. And sometimes even like people in the Pilates studio who are celebrities are like, oh my God, that's the hot guy from The Handmaid's Tale. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I see him every day. Like, he sometimes waves to people in the studio. He knows everyone. Any party that we've ever been to that's cool here in the FIFA with like the industry people. Oh, bleep that out. Wait.
I know.
Okay. With like industry people. Okay. We don't go to a lot of cool parties. This happened like once. He's there. And so I looked on Actors Access and I saw that he was directing a movie. It's like I think it's about like influencers or plastic surgery or something, but it's with Elizabeth Moss as the lead.
You're killing it with the last name, son.
and Kaya Gerber, who I also see walking in our neighborhood all the time, and Kate Hudson. Okay. And they're the 3 female leads. And the producer is the producer of La La Land, who also happens to frequent our area. And I looked at this, what is it called? Casting notice.
The breakdown. And
it said that it was looking for 7 to 14-year-old little girl who plays piano.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't play piano, but I can learn, Max. And I saw it and I was like, damn, like I feel so left out right now that they didn't ask me to be part of this film. And it's because I literally see them every day like they are normal people, even though they're not normal people. Like,
well, it almost feels like you're in high school again. It's like the cool kids.
It totally feels in high school. And I was upset when I saw it. Like, I was upset with Max. I was like, why doesn't he ever notice me?
Max, what the hell, man?
Like, why doesn't he see me? Why doesn't he ask me about my day? How's it going? Like, he knows me. Like, I see him walking every day, but I don't say hi either because he's a celebrity, because he's too cool for me, because he's an it boy. But I felt kind of sad when I saw that casting notice, and I was like, maybe if I like send a picture of myself in for the 7-year-old, even though he's not doing casting, he'll see my face, recognize me as the girl folding towels in the Pilates studio, and he'll be like, I'm gonna give her a chance. And I literally thought to myself, and tell me if this is crazy, you guys. Okay, comment below if you think this is crazy. I was like, maybe I should find him at the coffee shop and be like, please give me a chance in your movie. So I decided against that because Aaron kind of talked me down from that.
Yeah, don't do that.
But this is me doing it right now. So Max, if you're out there, I'm a huge fan of your work. I think Handmaid's Tale is excellent. you're super great in that, super hot, super talented. And I would really love to be part of your movie, even if it's a small role, and be part of
even if it's a 7-year-old girl
of our neighborhood, because
an underage,
I just feel
not
so
of age
left
girl
out. I feel like I'm in high school again.
Yeah, you'd be a not of age piano player.
Yeah. Hollywood is kind of like high school, if you think about it.
I think it's getting I think it's much bigger where you can kind of dissociate. But yeah, I understand what you mean.
You think you can disassociate?
I think so.
I feel like I can't. I'm not even in Hollywood. I mean,
true.
I'm not even in the group. I'm not even in the it circle. But maybe that's just how I feel my whole life.
Okay, but what I think is funny about
I'm
that
like
story,
Goob.
You are.
Play that clip right here.
That's what I was about to say. Play that clip right here as we explain
Goob.
the story. Because as you're folding towels, looking at Max
Minghella.
There you go.
Is that his name?
Yes.
What was I saying?
You were saying not
Minghella.
even. You were saying Magellan.
Minghella is his name? Minghella?
Yeah. He's an Italian.
Oh.
Part at least. He's great in The Social Network.
Yeah, he's a great actor,
and
I really want him. I didn't know he had a British accent until he started. I can't speak until he started talking in front of me at the coffee shop, and then I was like, ugh. He's not even going to notice me here. And I just had to look down at my phone, pretend I didn't recognize him. And then some girl was like, Max! Oh my God, it's Max! And I was like, there's no way she knows Max Minghella. And she did, and she bought him coffee. I felt like a loser. I felt like such a loser.
We should stage something, right? I'll say my name is next time you see him. Next time he's at the coffee shop. Okay?
Everyone knows your name's Aaron at the coffee shop already.
No one knows. Okay? I don't think anyone really knows. We stage something, or we have, Chris come in, or we have Pete come in, and we have it be staged. We say, Max, oh my... And we see him there. And we say, hey, Max, oh my God. And then he thinks, oh, these fucking peasants are calling my name. And he looks, and he goes... And we walk right past him and give Pete a hug. And go, Max, it's so good to see you. Let me buy you a coffee.
I don't want to hurt him.
He's your best friend?
I just have a friend crush on him. I just want him to like me. I want him to ask me what I'm up to. I want him to cast me in this movie. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to hurt anyone by doing that, okay?
No, I know.
That's happened to me several times, though.
I understand. But in this story, what's funny to me is... Because I remember seeing you do this on the laptop or on the iPad, and I could see that you were feeling left out. I was like, oh, maybe our friends posted and they did something without us. And then you proceeded to tell me what and why you were feeling that way. And in that story, you didn't even know his name either.
But I knew how it was spelled. That's what matters.
How is it spelled?
M-A-N.
That's already wrong.
M-A-G.
M-A?
Minghella.
Is it an A? Am I dumb?
Yeah, it's an M.
Oh. No, I know it's an M.
Minghella. Anyway, Max, if you're out there, please give us a chance.
Give us a chance.
We see you walking
it's an
in our
I,
neighborhood
dude.
every day.
It's not even M-A.
Okay, but come on. M-A-M-A? That's way cooler than M-A-M-I. Mummy?
Mummy what?
Mummy.
I still say his name. Say his name again?
Mummy.
No, his full name.
Max Minghella.
How do you spell it?
M-A-X-M-A.
Not his first name.
M-A-G. Minghella. M-A-N-G. I feel like I'm in line in the 4th grade and they're asking me to go down the list of spelling words.
Did they do that to you?
Yeah, that's why I study so hard. Multiplication tables, I was already out. I still don't know my multiplication tables. I still don't know how to do no, I can't study that. Don't ask me what 7 times. I genuinely have no idea.
Okay. It's okay.
I'm not going to cry. I'm not unhinged. This is a positive podcast.
We're a positive podcast.
We're a positive podcast, and I don't cry anymore, and I don't yell at Aaron anymore. I actually only feel happiness.
This is very good.
Anyway, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Minghella.
Minghella? Oh, so it's
Max Minghella. I think. I don't know, man.
Is it Italian?
Yeah.
Minghella. Sounds Portuguese. A little bit.
I mean, he's mixed.
What is he?
I don't know. I don't know. He's mixed though. I know he's mixed. But anyway,
What's mixed?
Dude, what is that?
Not in a bad way.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
mixed, bro.
Yeah, bro.
You're mixed?
Bro, I'm not.
Donna's mixed.
I'm not talking shit about anything. I'm just saying. So you don't want to go through with the ruse then?
Who's the ruse?
The ruse.
The ruse?
Of a different Max situation.
No, because I will combust. I can't pull off tricks like that. You know that?
That's so true.
Like, I would be like, and then I would cry.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would need a croissant immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not even that good at that coffee shop. The coffee's incredible, and the matcha
coffee's good.
Is amazing.
Coffee's very good.
And so's the chai. Impeccable. It's just impeccable. But anyway, yeah, you guys, I don't know what else we want to chat about. Like, we watched the Beckham documentary, and I really thought that the Beckham documentary is going to be something that I was going to deeply enjoy, and it turned out to be something that Aaron deeply enjoyed.
Yeah, it was very much more about
soccer. It was just sports. Only about sports.
It was very much a sports documentary, which was weird because it had
Have you ever watched a sports documentary before that one?
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah.
Which one?
I feel like, I don't know, man. Why?
Which sport?
I don't know. I feel very on the spot now.
I'm just wondering because I've never watched a sports documentary before.
Well, usually they're just more like they're either surrounding a specific game or, yeah, like a specific person.
Right.
That one was like the tone was weird because it was kind of just about him, you know, not even really about his family or his wife. It was kind of just about him.
Well, I think we thought that Posh was going to be more involved.
I thought it was going to be more about...
I thought it was going to be about their careers coming up together.
It felt very much like the Kanye doc.
Yeah, where like it starts really strong.
Or even just in terms of like the framework. It's like about his come up. But Kanye's was like more interesting.
Well, because I think Kanye actually had... Not that David Beckham didn't have a come up, but I feel like it was planned since he was a child.
Yeah, he was as a not of age child.
Yeah. As an underage child, he was picked. And
he was brought to Manchester.
Yeah. So they kind of already knew. Like with Kanye, it was like the underdog story, the come up.
Yeah. So, I mean, I really liked especially like the first episode because I feel like when in that era of Beckham, like I started watching soccer right after Beckham left Manchester United.
It is funny.
It's like I knew all the players.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes, all those fellas, Alex Ferguson, Fergie.
Aaron used to be a soccer guy, and he still kind of is. He wants to play intramural soccer, so we'll get back to you on that one, guys. I'm going to insert a photo right here. Remember the timestamp of Aaron at his intramural soccer in Ann Arbor, holding my pink water bottle.
But I was like, it just wasn't what I expected it to be. And then after the first episode, it was kind of like, eh. That's how I felt.
Well, I think it could have all just been captured in the first episode.
That's exactly right.
And it is also kind of interesting. I've noticed this because I love celebrity documentaries, and I love like history. I love famous people, obviously, Max. But what I realize is that, you know, with watching the Kanye documentary, with watching this one, as people get more famous, they hide more.
Yeah.
And so really the only interesting part is their come up.
Yeah.
because that's the only part that they're really going to be honest about. Mm-hmm. And I think we give celebrities more grace for their come up because we see them as more human.
And then you see them as, like, oh, it's attainable, which is really, it's interesting.
No, say it. You don't think it's attainable. I know.
Well,
we had the Suit episode.
The Suit episode. Oh, true. Well, they provide it.
Is that the one where we talked about business? Yeah.
Yeah.
Your grandparents' sad story. Yeah.
Well, they provide the perception of, it's because I just worked really hard.
Yeah.
And that's like and they make it like, oh, well, it was like destined because I worked really hard. Which is fair. I'm not saying like, obviously if someone is, for like the majority of people, it's like, they worked hard. But, and I don't need to get into all of that, but.
Get into it. Keep it open. God.
Well, it's like what I didn't like about like the finale of Succession.
Can you elaborate more on that?
Well, because the whole framework of it is kind of like a condemnation of capitalism or like a critique of, high like corporate business. Mm-hmm. And then their stance is kind of that things are a meritocracy and that the person who works the hardest and is like the smartest gets the job. Because Tom got it, right? Sorry, that's a spoiler, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He was the most deserving out of everyone.
Yeah.
Like objectively. He was the best at his job, the most qualified.
Yeah, I guess you're right. It did argue for meritocracy.
And no one in the family got it.
I did not get that when I watched it. I think I completely missed the point of Succession.
I was
just upset that Shiv lost.
Well, I don't even.
But then she kind of won because she took the stance of being lifelong partners and not just romantically. And I think that's the end goal.
Well, she kind of embraced the role of her mother, which she becomes of wife. And I think that they were a little bit too obsessed with like the metaphors of that. And in the end, they kind of embrace. And I don't even know if they were conscious of it. Maybe they were, but I don't think they were. I think they were just trying to be surprising, so they picked him. But in doing so,
I feel like someone must have noticed.
Well, it's funny because I was talking to Pete about this.
Yeah.
And because I was complaining about it.
Uh-huh.
The whole thing is just critique. And they're in favor, essentially, of, well, the person who works the hardest gets the role. Because in theory, it should have just been the kids.
It is funny because
and
watching it, I did not think that at all. And when I watched it, I was so disappointed that it wasn't the kids.
Right. And I think
I didn't realize that he is the most deserving of because in my mind he was a worse person.
Well, and he kind of represents and same with like Mattson, it's like the people who like worked really hard and then they grinded, and then he
wasn't born into it, yeah.
Whereas it kind of would have driven the point if one of the kids got it. I don't know, whatever. But I was talking to Pete about it. And he had something interesting to say, which was, well, these are good writers, but these are also very successful writers. And they probably feel, well, I worked really hard to be a writer, so I'm deserving of this position. So it makes, that's kind of in the back of their head.
Yeah, it's ingrained in them.
The ideology of like, well, if you are successful, you feel like you deserved it. You feel like, well, I didn't get lucky. I worked really fucking hard. And now I'm doing this.
I think it's a combination of both.
Yeah, of course it's a combination of both. But I think that any person who is like actually that level of success, they might say it in like interviews and stuff.
But he married
I think
Shiv. He married into it. He wasn't just a rando guy.
Aside from like marrying her, kind of though.
But he didn't work up to that position. He married first.
Yeah, but I do think still...
Like, there is an argument to be said, like, well, yes, he wasn't in the family, but he cheated the system slightly by marrying her.
Sure.
He wouldn't have gotten... I don't think he would have gotten that far if he
But out of all the people it could have possibly been, is what I'm saying.
You're right. Out of all the people, he was the least in the family.
Because they weren't going to be like, well, we actually have the charts, and we're going to bring in someone you guys have never met before.
No, he's gonna be obviously. That's not what I'm saying.
No, I know. Sorry.
No, it's fine. You just get broy when you talk about Succession.
Sorry. I fucking hate that part of my life.
No, but you're right. I think that is crazy because I didn't see it that way when I watched it.
Yeah.
But you're right. I think that I am so like brainwashed, and I've said this so many times on this podcast, by the idea that if you work hard you will get something.
And I think that
I think it's like I think I just need to believe that, so I just blindly do.
And I'm not saying
because of my existential crisis that I had, you guys, like I realized I worked really hard for that role.
We're going to call it the Max situation.
The Max situation, okay? I worked really hard. Can we just
The Max conundrum.
Can we just name it his name?
We've said his name multiple times.
I know, but I just want him to see this on his For You page and be like,
what?
I want him to watch me. I want him to cheer me on. Mm-hmm. Anyway, the Max conundrum happened to me, and I realized like I did work really hard, and I have been working my ass off. And
the Minghella Effect.
The Minghella. Yes, I love it. The Minghella Effect. I have been working really hard, and he's also. I think he might be a Nepo baby.
I
don't want to out you, Max,
I don't know,
but you kind of are a Nepo baby, I think.
We'll fact check that.
You know, you're still very talented, and Nepo babies are talented. They just, have some extra Succession attachments. But the point is that I was having the Minghella Effect, and now I'm starting to think maybe that if you work hard, you might not get. Because that happened to me last week.
Okay, but cumulatively, I'm saying, like, I do think, though, that while I don't believe in the nature of meritocracy, I do think that to say, well, what's the point? I'm just not going to try is also not right either. I think your odds are maximized if you just try your hardest.
But do you think that anyone who works as like their ass off at something that they really, really want will get it?
I don't think that that's always true, but I think it's certainly going to happen more if you actually do work your ass off and try. You know? What I'm saying is to be kind of a prick when you're successful and go, well, it was destined because I deserve it. You know, it's like you worked really hard, I'm sure. But, there's a lot of people who also do that.
I agree. But do you think that the Beckham documentary was saying that?
I think the framework for a lot of those documentaries were like, oh, I'm the best of all time, or like I'm really great, and like they perceive Beckham as he was like a fantastic player. And my perception of David Beckham was he was a good player, probably like one of the best on Manchester United, but there's always like a player on a team who's like the best on their team. You know what I'm saying? So he wasn't even, I wouldn't even say he's like a once in a generation talent. I would say in terms of like how he lies in history, like for example, like he really assembled a brand for himself, and he was probably one of the first people in soccer to like create his kind of social position, and he was able to like leverage that to the moon. And he admits then the documentary, which was one of the parts that I found interesting. He was like, "Hey, I'm like 20, I'm 21, and I'm good at soccer, but how long can you play soccer for? You can play soccer until what? You're like 25, 26, and then you slow down." And it's like the NFL for players stands for not for long, because you need to think of what you're going to do after, because you can only play for so long, and the majority of players get injured.
That's how I knew I wasn't going to be a ballet dancer once I was like 12.
Sure. It's because it's like those...
That was so disappointing. that was really sad for me.
Yeah.
But you know what? I didn't work as hard as I could have.
You probably worked hard.
I worked hard, but not as hard as I could have.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I could have given up school and trained all day, and I didn't do that. And that's why I didn't make it.
Well, all to say, with like Beckham... was very good. Obviously, he was an amazing player, but he really what really made him a thing was that he assembled a brand for himself, and I mean he just drove it really hard. Also in the same vein, like his marriage. I also thought
it was interesting the way that they talked about like, Victoria really distracting from his soccer career, and like his brand really distracting from that soccer career.
I didn't like how they framed it.
I just feel like she really added to his soccer career.
Absolutely.
And I think that like that whole marriage completely elevated him. I don't think he would.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't totally know if he would like be lasting in history and like be able to even have a documentary if it wasn't for her.
I mean, I think that certainly like their marriage, and look, there's a lot of misogyny that is a product of people, people are successful and then they have like a bad few years. So obviously we're going to blame the wife.
And that was terrible when they said that, they would like chant horrible things about her at the game.
Soccer fan, like, they're awful. But I mean, look at like the Beatles, look at Yoko, look at, all of these. Yeah. It's terrible. People are nasty. People are nasty. But it's unfortunate.
You guys better not be chanting my name and say that I took down Aaron from greatness.
Mm-hmm.
Is that real? You gonna keep that in there?
Well, that was
not appropriate. We're trying to keep a positive podcast.
You're right. I'm so sorry. I took away from the brand and what we're trying to spread.
You ruined the brand.
Which is peace and love.
You completely decimated it.
That's so true.
I don't think anyone wants to hear that while they're running.
Okay, but I was just trying to add to your point.
Go ahead.
In that moment, which is why I made the choice to do that.
I don't even remember what my point was.
You were saying don't chant.
Don't chant.
The idea that that there's a world where I could I could overshadow you.
I think that there's totally a world where you could overshadow me.
And then I farted.
I think at Michigan, you completely were like the talent.
I don't think that's ever going to happen
this relationship.
Again. It's never going to happen again.
But it has happened, so it could totally happen again.
History repeats itself. An important lesson.
So Aaron is the great talent. He is honestly the great talent of this relationship.
That's insane.
No, he is. I
say
say that with love.
You say that a lot, and I think people think it's a joke. Because you say that to other people, and then everyone goes, huh? Like no one really takes that seriously.
No, that's not true. That's just the way that you see it.
That's not.
Because I think that everyone sees my success because of you.
That is insane.
Which one success are we talking about right now? We're getting a new couch tomorrow. That's because Aaron put down his credit card. I paid for it though, some of it.
All to say, yeah, Beckham established a great brand for himself, like a universal brand. But Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah, my boy.
Yeah, your boy. He kind of has like that similar, like he's very beautiful, but he was like a once in a generation
talent.
Like he's maybe he's like top 15, top 10 of all time.
Yeah.
Beckham not even the top 100.
Wow.
Probably not in the top 200.
See, I don't even know.
Like he was the best at Manchester United for that time, but in a way, and I think when you saw him going to like Real Madrid, a lot of the coaches were like, would he be here if he wasn't so famous? And the answer was maybe not. It
is interesting how he really, I don't know. I just thought it was, he clearly accepted himself as a brand in the beginning of his career. Mm-hmm. And then he started like moving around. I was just so upset for Victoria when I was watching it because obviously she was not meant to be like a soccer player's wife. Yeah. She was a star in her own right. Absolutely. And so she had her own career. She had her own brand. She had her own image. And
it felt very much like she had to backseat her own life.
I mean, you kind of see like all those like, soccer stars or sports players in their wife's career, and this is nothing against their wife's career because I think that this is a full-time hustle. It is being their husband's wife. Like that's a full-time commitment because you're having to move from place to place. You're having to resettle your children every time. You're having to put up a certain appearance for your husband's brand. And it's interesting how toward the end he was like, this is all for football. Like,
Yeah.
Wow, look at me, so European. For soccer, like he kept moving from place to place.
Yeah.
Even though, you know, trying to prove himself as like this elite soccer player, when I feel like he had already passed the point where he had accepted himself as this like major brand, and that was his superpower.
It was it was interesting.
Because it got almost like reversed. Do you know what I mean?
No, I completely agree. And I wish that
maybe he had a regret, and
I wish they dove into more why he made the decisions he made, or why he chose to like continue to play or like move to the US, because they kind of just like went through the motion of what happened. Like they kind of went into his psychology a little.
I think they wanted to move to the US, number one, because Victoria was unhappy.
And the money.
And the money.
He got paid so much money. So yeah, like that made sense. I wish that they kind of dove into particularly like his department from Manchester United.
I also don't think it's a bad thing if you say on a documentary, like maybe this is a bad look, but if you say the money was
I think it undeniably had to be because of the money, because it was like what, $250 million?
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was something insane.
I don't blame you, Beckham, if that's your reason.
And moving to the United States, especially in that time, it was notable for like, I mean, the soccer presence here is dreadful. Like it's actually terrible. And it was like 1,000 times worse when he made that decision to move.
Wow.
Like being like a pro soccer player in the US was like being, you know.
So my question for you is, what is that Miami team that he has now?
So the Miami team is maybe like the first effort that has been made to like actually create like a serious
But are they
presence.
Part of?
Yes, they are. They're in the MLS.
So they would play like Spain and England.
No. They play in the United States. They're an American. They play in the American League.
But they would not. Okay, but the American League is completely separate from any sort of.
Yes. There's like the English Premier League. There's, you know.
But when's the one when they all come together and play? Like when
World
Argentina is playing. Okay. So I should know this. I should really know this. Sorry, Wito. So would Miami ever play per se?
No. It's the United States. And you play for the team where you were born in. So you play, it's regardless of what league you play in, it's the country you're born in that you play for or that you have citizenship in. So like Messi would still play for Argentina. It's always the same.
Got it.
Even if you play in the United States, you know.
Does the United States play in the World Cup?
Yeah, we just are terrible. We're getting better, but they're not very good.
Why is that?
Because there's no like, well, it's like there's no audience for it in the United States, so there's no like
push
for it. If there was a push, I mean, there's an American right now who's one of the best.
Really?
Yeah, there's like more of a push for it.
Does he play for an American team or a European team?
He plays for, I believe he plays for Bayern Munich. He plays for a German team, one of the German teams.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Interesting.
You probably wouldn't play in the United States.
Wow.
All to say, I really enjoyed the first episode, but the rest of it was the same tone, so they could have just put that all into. We just want to see the spice. I wanted to know about his illicit affairs. I wanted to know about his relationship with Alex Ferguson, his fallout. They talked about the boot to the head, what really caused the boot to the head.
We wanted the drama. We wanted the spice. We wanted the tea.
The fucking spice. Because they've assembled a brand.
But that's the thing. Like when celebrities talk about their come up, now that could be totally altered as well. But I feel like they can talk more about the tea when they're talking about their come up, you know? But then once they hit a certain level of celebrity, like once he hit the affairs, once he hit that sort of thing, he didn't dive into that at all. And I think that most people...
Did they talk about it at all?
She said it was really painful for her and that it was terrible. And I do understand, like, she probably didn't want to talk about it. Mm-hmm. Though she was way more open about it than he was, I thought.
That makes sense.
But I'm sure it was heavily monitored. Like,
yeah.
Even one of the women came out about it and that he had the affair with, and she like openly talked about it again, and is like re-putting the spotlight on the whole situation, probably opening up a lot of wounds. Like, I don't know if they would want to rehash it, but I do think like this sense of like, I don't know. But then I'm like, do we really want to know the honesty of like celebrity relationships? Because look at Jada and Will. Like,
yeah, true.
Like they say the honesty of their relationship all the time, and people are like,
gross. Like,
okay, you don't need
stop.
to tell us.
It's like, oh, actually, it's fine. We didn't want to know.
But you know, maybe that's just how every celebrity relationship is, and we just don't know. Again, we should ask Max.
We should ask Max. Max, we'd love to have you on the podcast. This is a pitch for you right now. You'd come to us, obviously. We'll have a new couch so you can sit right here. You can be in between us. We can touch you. We also don't have to touch you.
Whatever you want, Max.
But if you want us to touch you, we can touch you. And we'd love to have you on. We'd love to have the... Now I don't know his last name.
Minghella.
The Minghella Effect Part 2. We're excited for that episode when the day comes.
It will come.
You can be right here on the couch in between us.
It will come because hard work brings you anything. And I've learned that in the past week.
Because hard work brings you anything. As proven in this last week. Exactly.
Yeah.
But... Oh, we're an hour 10.
Okay, well,
Max, if you're out there, we love you. We'd love to touch you, and
I'd love to buy you a coffee sometime.
Love to buy you a coffee.
I would love for you to cast me in your next upcoming film.
As a 7-year-old
who plays piano.
Well, thank you, everyone. We're glad to be back. We hope you enjoyed our little weird movie. There will be more of those to come. We just want to assemble sort of a variety of media for you to delve into as we assemble this empire that we are creating. We're going to do a TV show called Empire. Has that been done? TV show called Empire?
That was such a dad joke. Like, it was painfully a dad joke.
Okay, well, we're going to end on that one then.
FIFA for fun, bitches.
Goodbye.
And don't forget to watch Frank and Sophie.